We're just going to say something to you, and this really fits in perfectly with everything that we've been talking about here today. Your exposure to that experience has caused you to expect it. You expect it. In other words, you just expect it. Anything that's been hanging around that long, you expect it. You expect it. It's there, you observe it, you expect it. So you're reacting to it. It's there, you're reacting to it, but you're not thinking otherwise about it. So let's think otherwise about it for a minute. In other words, when you say, every ailment I've ever had has been very light, well, that speaks to your expectation too. And that's really a positive thing. So when you say, I have this nagging thing, we want to say, accurately, then you have this nagging vibration. You have this nagging thought. So then you say, well, do I need to uncover it? And we say, could it be as simple as just awareness of a shoulder that is uncomfortable? It could be that simple. And probably is, otherwise it would have been getting bigger. So when you feel it, what's the thought you think? I wish I could figure this out. And what is the true sentiment behind that? I wish I knew what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
I wish I could figure out what I'm doing wrong. So sort of like the relationship that we were talking about too. And you're not alone in this. It's why we started in the very strong, rampaging, harping way that we did earlier today, is that most people are focused upon what is and reacting to it. So you have to find a way that instead of reacting, you are proactively feeling about your body. Now here's the thing, and this really speaks to you as we were playing with these money cards, and we were suggesting that when you try to fix something from outside the vortex, you get nowhere. It just practices the pattern. Can you hear that? And when do you think that you most often consider this subject?
When it happens.
100% of the time when it hurts. So what you just said is 100% of the time I approach my discomfort when I'm having it from outside the vortex. Don't you just love it?
Yeah.
100%. I put 100% of my energy into worrying about what this is about from outside the vortex. So now let's use the analogy of the cards in the way that we offer them. So let's say that you are having a wonderful physical moment. It could be a sensual moment. It could be a moment that you're swimming. It could be a moment that you're lying in a comfortable place with the sun shining on your face. A comfortable moment in your body. And you're feeling glad to be alive. So now this is your proactive moment. I have such a wonderful body. And the cells of my body are so responsive to my good feeling. And I just love knowing that they know what to do. I love my good feeling body. I'm breathing deeply. I'm feeling good. I'm moving easily. In other words, just accentuating in your mind the aspects of your body from inside the vortex. That's how you shift the vibration. You proactively, deliberately shift the vibrational attitude that you have about your body. So now your shoulder might hurt, and let's say it hurts 3 or 4 times a day. But you could spend way more time than that inside the vortex looking for a moment. Jerry and Esther have really been getting the hang of this. And so they'll find themselves in a moment in a restaurant, or sitting off the side of the road to take a picture of something, or in the middle of a conversation where something feels particularly good. And they'll say, oh, let's back up and let's see if we can ferret out all of the reasons why this moment in time feels this good. Is it what we're smelling from the kitchen? Yeah, it's part of it. Is it the ambiance of this room? That's part of it. Is it because we just got the twice monthly recording finished and got it sent off and it felt so good to do it? Well, that's part of it. Why do I feel so good right now is the operative question. Why do I feel so good right now? Why do I feel so good right now? That's the question that you want to ask over and over and over and over. That's proactively shifting the vibration. And it won't take much of that at all. And one day you'll say, that just went away. I didn't even notice that it had gone away. But when you stop keeping it active, it has to go away. Because only what is active stays.
Great.
So in the same way, pesky traits of your lover or pesky aspects of your body, same thing. when you proactively focus upon the aspects that aren't pesky and train your own vibration into letting those be dominant, then that has to be your experience. That's really the message of this gathering today. We'll speak it here in a very clear statement. Do all of your deliberate, affirming, scripting, creative, goal-setting work after you're sure you're in the vortex.
Okay.
So that you affirm the vibration you mean to affirm. So that you don't keep sore things sore for 10 years.
Yeah.
Does being deliberate about what you want feel hard to you? The reason we ask this of you is because we want you to reflect as we are moving forward today on this very important law-based knowledge that we hold. If you will make it a higher priority to feel your way forward, to feel into the vortex, you'll discover that then your thoughts will gravitate around that vibrational set point. And it won't feel hard to you. It's only hard to think this thought when this thought's active. And the reason it's hard to think this better feeling thought when this sore shoulder thought is active is because law of attraction's not helping you out at all. Law of attraction's dishing up to you thoughts that are in the vicinity of what's active. So you can sort of make an end run around this by deciding that you care how you feel, by acknowledging that the larger part of you feels better, by contemplating the possibility that this vortex exists, by contemplating the possibility that not only does it exist, but there's good stuff with your name on it in there swirling around with cooperative components, and just decide that you're going to just risk it and be happy for a little while. We know it's a really big price to pay. There's that sarcastic thing that never works for us. We just want you to consider the leverage of feeling your way in and then attempting to think. When you think before you get in there and then you say, oh, this thought doesn't feel good, I think I'll try to change it, it's really hard to do. But if you wake up and you feel pretty good and you go in the vortex and you milk it, in other words, if you would just make this one simple decision today, I'm going to compliment as often as I can and praise as often as I can and focus upon positive aspects as much as I can, and I'm going to complain as little as possible. I'm going to point out errors and things going wrong as little as possible. In other words, just the difference between deciding that you're going to praise rather than criticize or compliment rather than complain. Say to yourself, any word that is a complaining word, I'm going to let out. Esther will be talking along and all of a sudden she'll just be quiet and Jerry will say, I thought you were going to say something, and Esther will say, it's better this way. It's better this way. In other words, just don't say it. Just don't say it. And as you stop saying it, it'll be less active. And as you stop engaging other people in conversation about it, it will be less active. Esther said, I am not going to complain about this anymore. And Jerry said, well, complaining about complaining is still complaining. And Esther said, you're so pretty. In other words, you just can't work your way out of that, can you? You just have to decide that you're going to find a way of feeling good about whatever it is that you're living in your life. And when you find a way of feeling good, it will resolve in a way that is pleasing to you. But if you keep focusing on it, once it gets off, it will just get more off and more off and more off and more off and more off until finally you come to a place where you make a decision that you're going to be the proactive, deliberate creator of your own experience, which means you're going to direct your thoughts into alignment with who you really are and what you really want and what you've already created, so that you then can live happily ever after. And not just because the manifestations catch up, but because it feels good to appreciate and it feels lousy to complain. Yes. So you know that you create your own reality, yes? You know that you create your own reality, yes? We want you to know by the time you leave this gathering today, unequivocally, that you create your own reality. We want you to know, we want you to remember that you are extensions of source energy. We want you to remember that before you came forth into this physical body, you were source energy consciousness. And even though you're in this body, still that point of view remains. That non-physical, pure positive energy, always up to speed with the furthest of that which we've all become version of you, exists. And when you tune to the frequency of who you really are, you feel really, 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 really good in the moment. You know those moments of clarity, insight? That's what that is. You know those moments of jubilance, those moments of exhilaration, that feeling of exhilaration that flows through you often. Those moments are the moments when somehow, some way, you've managed to focus in a way where you've stopped doing that thing you do, which holds you back from all that you are. And that's sort of a screwy way of explaining it to you, isn't it? When you no longer do that thing you do, then you'll be able to do that thing you really want to do, that thing you were doing before you came into this physical body, that thing you were born to do, that thing you always want to do. You want to do that thing you do, but you've got to stop doing that thing you do in order to do that thing you do. And the thing that we want you to no longer do, which sounds backwards and not really Abraham-like, that thing we want you to no longer do is to stop doing that thing that you do, which is fussing and worrying about things that you can't do anything about. We want you to give up control of the uncontrollable. And we would like you to accept that everything is uncontrollable when you are talking about manifestation. Those manifestations are uncontrollable to you because they are controlled by law of attraction. So when you decide that you're going to control circumstances and events, when you decide you're going to control your government or control anyone, oh, there's lots popping up on that one. When you decide that you're no longer going to try to control your children or your lover or your mother, your mother. When you decide that you're no longer going to control the government or TSA, especially them. Esther was getting a really friendly pat down yesterday. She knows exactly how it got activated, too. She has a new line. She thinks she can head it off. She's going to say from now on, just as it's about to begin, I've been really lonely lately. I'm so looking forward to this. When you decide that you're going to stop trying to control the uncontrollable, and instead you begin to control the thing, the one thing, the certain thing, the important thing, the only thing that matters, when you decide that you're going to control the way you feel, when you believe that in order to achieve a certain feeling, that you have to control a circumstance so that you can then have a feeling response to it, now you're in trouble because there are too many moving parts. But when you decide that you're going to control the only thing that matters and something that you absolutely can control, and that is the way you feel, when you decide that you're going to achieve emotional clarity, that you're going to reach for emotional manifestations. Now, we deliberately use the word manifestation because an emotion is a manifestation. And when you think about it, isn't everything you want because you think you will feel better in the having of it? Whether it's a material object or a relationship, whether it's the modifying or the molding of a circumstance and event, isn't everything that you want because you believe that in the having of it that you will feel better? We know it's a big jump, but just stay with us today as we continue to reach for it with you. If you can accept that you have the ability within 5 or 10 minutes, faster often, but within 5 or 10 minutes, 10 at the outside, within 5 or 10 minutes, you can bring yourself to an emotional state of being that feels good to you. We are eager to begin, eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. There is nothing off limits. Everything is appropriate. You're ready to begin? You are ready to begin.